If relationships are the real currency in life, if referrals are the lifeblood of business, how do we, the entrepreneurs, the small business owners, compete in this ever-changing, fast-paced world? How do we become more so we can attract more? My name is Curtis Lewsey and I'm your host. Those are the questions, and in this podcast, we will reveal the secrets. What's up, brother?
Hey, how we doing?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Living that dream all day, every day. Well, how's the day going? Pretty good?
No, it started off crazy. And that's one of the things I want to talk today about is perspective and mindset of an entrepreneur. And like when you have somebody like you and your inspirational story, I think it's so much to add to everybody, every walk of life.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I'm excited without having like an office or anything like that set up. I'm just like sitting in my man cave. So
I love that. You know what? You're real. I'm just sitting in the office with these panels from Home Depot, something, you just throw something on the wall because, well, we're just going to get started. We're going to have a conversation. That's really what I want you to do is share your story. You've done a million of these. So.
No, hey, everybody, what's up? I'm Travis Mills. Nice to meet everyone, through this podcast and everything. Excited to be here. A little bit about me. I'm from a small town in Michigan. I just played sports growing up, decided to go into the military once college didn't work out for me. When I say it didn't work out for me, I just wasn't good at it because I didn't want to be there. So I chose a different route and ended up at the 82nd Airborne Division out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Went on my first deployment, had a great time. People probably like had a great time, but no, I did. And met my wife on the old interweb because her brother was my medic and she saw pictures and thought I was cute. Wow. And first date we ever went on, she was 18 and in college and I was 20 in Afghanistan, and I flew home for an 18-day R&R and I swooped her up in Texas and went to Cozumel, Mexico for a week. Never met before. So her parents were not pleased with that, but whatever. And back to Michigan, where, my home state, my hometown where we went. I went back overseas, came back, got married, and got an apartment, did the whole, got a dog. Still got the dog, 12 years old, and still married, should say that. And then my second deployment was a year long, a lot of firefights. Came back from that. My wife had bought a house when I was gone, and she was really excited to tell me. She said, "Hey, I bought a house today." I'm like, how'd you buy a house? Like, you're in college. And she said, "Well, there's a power of attorney that you signed." And I'm like, "Yeah, for banking." She said, "No, it gives me the power to do anything in your name, like buy a house." So we bought a house. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. 4 months after, well, I mean, I knew about it. That's just one of the jokes. But 4 months after that, I was able to, when I got settled in, we found we were gonna have a baby, which is very exciting. My daughter Chloe was born. And everybody, if you don't follow me, I got the best wife in the world, because when that little girl was born, we thought, what are we going to name her? Madison or Avery. And my wife looked at me with a heavy sigh from the hospital bed after giving birth and was like, we have to name her Chloe Lynn. And I'm like, we don't have to. What makes you say that we have to? And she said, well, because you idiot, you already got your ex-girlfriend's name tattooed on your arm. So like we named her after my ex-girlfriend, which is pretty cool of my wife to do. That's not true. None of that story.
You tell a good joke, because I'll tell you what, you led me right down that path. I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah, no. So my daughter Chloe was born in September of 2011. Everything was really going my way, or our way, my wife and I's. And unfortunately, I hit a bomb on my third trip. The third trip I didn't have to go on, but I wanted to. My guys believed in me. My wife understood the calling and the brotherhood, and it was a 9-month deployment, which is going to be the shortest deployment I ever had. And I went overseas, and a month and a half in, I put my backpack down on a bomb. And when it went off, it took off my right arm, my right leg automatically. They actually never found those pieces of me. My left leg was snapped through the bone, but muscle and tendon were holding it on. And my left arm blown out the wrist. So I was laying on my back, and I looked at everything. And my medic, Dan, came up to me, and I said, "Don't worry about it. You're not going to save me." Because I figured in my head, I've seen guys go for a lot less, so just don't freak out. I kept seeing the movie Saving Private Ryan in my head, actually, when the medic gets shot in the stomach and he cries out for his life and he wants to see his mom, and ultimately he dies. And I thought, nope, not going to be me. So I just kept myself calm, and my one medic worked on me, and my platoon sergeant, after I told him not to. And I rated my LT with my left hand, which I still had use of. And I said, "Hey, 6, this is 4. I got guys injured." need your medic with mine. And they came over, and Doc Voice worked on Ryan and Brandon, then worked on me. They got me in a helicopter. Then 10 minutes of that to the hospital. I was rushed into surgery. I kept trying to sit up, and the nurses kept pushing me down. You know, about the third or fourth time, I got angry, and I was like, hey, quit touching me. I'm fine. Like, leave me alone. I got to get back to my guys. And they're like, I don't know how you're still awake right now, but you need to go sleep, bud. And they knocked me out. And the last thing I said to the nurse was, you know, my little girl, I'm never going to see her again, because I didn't know if I would see my daughter and wake up again.
She? How old was she?
6 months. And that was it. And they worked on me, the doctors and nurses, for 14 hours, where 2 nurses took turns, you know, pumping air in and out of my lungs for 9 hours. And they had a mass call for blood because I ran out of blood in the blood bank, and I was given over 400 units of blood, which was actually the most blood ever given in Afghanistan at the time. So, but anyway, so they gave me over 400 units of blood. People were rushing to donate blood from their veins and everything, like right to me. Like they ran so low, and A positive and universal blood. And you know, they didn't give up on me, and they just kept plugging away. And then I woke up 4 days later. They medically sedated me for 4 days, and I woke up in Landstuhl, Germany. And the only person in the room was my brother-in-law. And when I saw him, you know, the first thing out of my mouth was, my soldiers, how are my soldiers? Because it's always mission first. And he told me about Ryan and Brandon. And then I said, you know, am I paralyzed? And he said, no. And I looked at him and said, Josh, you ain't got a lot of me, man. I can't find my fingers and toes. Like, am I paralyzed? And he just said, you're not paralyzed, but you don't have them anymore. And that's how he broke it to me on April 14th of 2012. And then I didn't talk to anybody for 3 hours. I had my own questions, right? Like, am I a bad person? Does God hate me? What did I do wrong in life to deserve this? How can I be a husband and a father? And the biggest question I honestly had was, why didn't I just die? It was kind of like the real Lieutenant Dan Forrest Gump moment, where he's like, I'm supposed to die on the battlefield. That guy felt like, how is this going to be better? Not that I was suicidal. Like, I don't want people to get the wrong impression, but I'm also sitting there going, how is this better? Like, I'm going to be a burden. And, you know, I think about being a 25-year-old baby, because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't change my clothes. I couldn't go to the restroom by myself. I had stitches and cuts. I mean, I have a huge dent out of my butt, you know, so it was all stitched up, and it was pretty bad. But, you know, he convinced me to call my parents finally, and my wife, and I did. And it was actually my 25th birthday that day. So I found out on my 25th birthday what had happened from Josh. And I talked to my wife. The only thing I really said was, hey, what's up? I'm fine. Love you. Bye. Like, I didn't want to have a conversation with her. And my parents are about the same, you know, but my mom yelled happy birthday before I hung the phone up on her and my dad. And then I arrived back at Walter Reed on the 17th, and they had to take me into emergency surgery because my right leg had ripped open. And then they said, we got to get 2 inches off your right leg, but they made my wife sign for it. You're in charge of medical care now. Here you go. Here's we're going to hack his leg off. So she had to deal with that. And 2 days after, or a day after that, on the 18th, I saw her for the first time in person with, you know, no emergencies going on. And I basically just told her she should take everything we have and go. That it's not something I would choose for her. And it's okay for her to take the house, the cars, and whatever money we have saved up. And that financially, whatever I had, I'd give her, you know, for the rest of her life. But this isn't life I would choose for her, you know. And she thought about it a little bit, but she was really excited for that handicap parking. You know, so she's like, I'm going to stick around. No. So she said, sounds worse. We can do this together. And now I get the fortunate ability to travel this wonderful nation of ours during non-COVID years and do motivational speaking and presenting. And, you know, I think people are thrown off a little bit because I start with jokes, and I have a lot of built-in jokes and humor because, yes, what happened to me sucks. But at the same time, I was taken care of at the best hospital there is. I learned how to walk, drive, feed myself. I have this prosthetic hand, this 360. That's a pretty cool trick, you know. And I'm just grateful and
you're
thankful.
Telling jokes. I don't want to laugh at the jokes. Like, it's like, but it's like, I mean, you have such amazing perspective. You know, yesterday, I just wanted to share. Like, I come into my office, and yesterday morning, machines aren't working. AC is not working. You know, one of my freezers goes down. 2 other machines that I need for backup for the holiday season. Just like everything seems to be going awry, and I'm just kind of almost like laughing and upset at the same time. And then I remember I got my podcast with you, and then just all of a sudden, like, perspective just shifts. And I think it's like, really, do I really have problems? Like, what's going on over here? And that's what I think that you bring to the table so much is perspective and mindset, like all that you've went through, and how I'm sure you got rough days, just like all of us, everybody has tough days, but how do you deal with tough days with everything that you got going on?
Well, I mean, obviously alcohol is a huge key factor. No, in truth, like I don't see myself as much different than anybody else.
Yeah.
I don't see myself as a handicapped guy with no arms, no legs, because I live in the nation that took care of me, right? Like I have prosthetics. I actually just got back. I took my mom and my wife and my son. I drove in my truck with my prosthetic feet, like everybody else drives, to a really nice restaurant. Not really nice. I'm just saying it's like a mom and pop style place we like to eat called Annabelle's. Then I took them to Bed Bath and Beyond, and then I just got back to jump on this call. So I don't see myself as different. So my hard days are the same kind of hard days that you have. It's not the struggle of like, oh, I have no arms and legs, this is awful. It's, I have a freezer go down at my cafe that I own. I'll have, something happen at one of the rental buildings. I'll have a speaking engagement get canceled because of COVID or whatever. Like those are like the same kind of rough days, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it's mindset of like, treat myself like everybody else, treats themselves, and don't, weigh heavy on what happened to me, but just realize how lucky I am to still be here. And then also, I was given the chance to still be around. A lot of my friends didn't get the chance to come home. So when I think about their sacrifice and their family sacrifice, it's pretty easy for me to realize like, all right, that freezer is going to get fixed. That rental building problem, whatever, is going to get taken care of. And they didn't have the ability to come home with their families, their children, their spouses, their parents, their siblings. So I think it's just an easy reset for me if I have a down moment in a day where I'm like, yeah, but remember my buddy Frankie, he's no longer with us. And his, wife would give anything, his daughter would give anything, his mom would give anything, and they just can't. So it's a pretty easy reminder of me being, since I'm from the military. Now, if this was like a car accident, I might have a different mindset, but since it's so close to home, buddies didn't make it back home, and I understand like the sacrifice that I could have paid and how fortunate I'm still be here. And then plus like the doctors and nurses that worked on me for 14 hours, and then they could loosen one tourniquet and called it. But I also think that's probably why I'm so driven, because I was given the chance to still be here. I must, have a purpose, and I need to find what that purpose is. And for me, I found that my foundation that gives back to combat and service and injured veterans at the Travis Mills Foundation is one of my purposes. But also I love just being an entrepreneur. I love creating new businesses. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to start. Yeah, I'm going to start another one here pretty soon. So I own my speaking company, which I travel around and I do. I just got back from DC. I spoke with the NSA on Monday. And then I have insurance company I'm a part owner of, because I'm like a walking billboard. They said our insurance slogan is to help protect you from life's unexpected events. So it's like short-term or long-term, or short-term disability, long-term disability, cancer plans. So I'm a part owner of that company. I have a few rental buildings that I became an owner of with a group of guys. And then I also own a lodge in a marina that my buddy and I one night were drinking whiskey after I was told I should buy it by the owner. And I said, why would I buy this place? He said, look at the P&Ls. I had no idea what that meant, but my buddy did, luckily. So no, we got talking, and my wife said, don't you guys buy it? So when the bottle of Basil Hayden's was gone, we were signing the dotted line. All right, good to go. But, but it's been really great. And then we're thinking of like a whiskey distillery, small tasting room with small plates. We're not under contract yet, but we're probably going to be under contract soon with the building we're going to do it in. So I don't know. I enjoy it. It's the thrill and the rush of it all. And why not? Right. I'm 33. I got a lot left to do.
That's awesome. College didn't work out for you. Everything else seems to be, though.
Yeah. Well, I had a year and a half left of college, and I planned on finishing my deployment, coming back, and then finishing my degree while being a recruiter, and then going to be an officer. Right. I always had all these different paths I was going to take, and you never know what path you're really on or what you're going to take. And I don't even know if anything I'm doing right now is going to be successful in the long, in the long haul or the way forward future. But what we're doing right now works, and I'm not going to finish college. I don't think. Don't tell anybody. I don't want them to be mad at me. I don't got time.
So tell me about Chloe. She's like 8 years old now.
9. Yeah.
9,
She's phenomenal.
9.
She's 9. She does gymnastics. she's one of my best friends, and I take her to school every
soccer
morning
with her. Like you still
Yeah.
figuring everything out.
Well, now she's crazy fast, so I get on the trampoline with her and do that. But I have a son too. So like my son is 3 years old. His name is Dax. My wife and I wanted to prove to everybody I still could, have kids or like make kids, and she gave me the opportunity. So we had another one, and that answers a lot of people's questions about other things. But his name is Dax. So it's my mags for Daniel and Alexander. So we just like mash our names up together. He had French toast today, so he's a little bit bouncing off the walls right now, having a good time. But he's 3; he's a champion.
My son is 3 as well. It's a fun age.
Oh yeah. And then my wife says we're done having kids, so I guess I'm just gonna take her word on it unless she tells me different. But yeah, life goes on, and Chloe's not a lot of dads can say learn how to walk with their kids, right? I can't. I learned how to walk with Chloe at the hospital. When she was learning how to walk, I was learning how to walk, and we were holding hands and walking around the gym together, the Military Advanced Training Center. And, she's probably a big reason of my recovery being so successful, because at the end of the day, like I'm still, her father, and she still has, to have someone to lean on and look up to. And I want to be that person. So, we have a great time. Yesterday, my wife posted a family picture of us, and there's like, I don't know, a lot of views on it, a lot of comments. And one comment, my wife said, who's this lady? She read the lady's name. She said, why is she saying that she liked the way you dropped Chloe off to school yesterday? And Chloe knew who the teacher was. I said, oh, when Chloe got out of the truck and started walking up to the school, I put the passion window down and started yelling, I love you so much, Chloe. You're the best little girl in the world. You're my absolute favorite little girl. I love you. You have a great day. And I kept yelling things like that, and all the kids were looking. And Chloe goes, yeah, it was so embarrassing, Mom. And I do that kind of thing. So whatever.
That's all. She'll never forget that stuff.
Yeah.
But, one of the things that this thing is, this podcast is labeled Referral Secrets. And one of the things that we talk about is that, you earn referrals, you don't get referrals, and you earn referrals by who you are and how you show up in people's lives. And a lot of this stuff that you're talking about is intentional. You choose, how you view the world. Yes, you've had some crazy things happen really close to you and as well as to yourself. And that mindset and that perspective is everything. I think that for an entrepreneur, for a husband, for a wife, for as a parent, so some of your speaking engagements that you get asked to speak, what are some of the groups of people that you're speaking to? And
well, it's all across the spectrum. They always have me. I just base everything around resiliency, overcoming obstacles that you might face, even if you don't know they're coming. Yeah, my slogan of never quit. I was just at the NSA this week. I've been to Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Wells Fargo's a pretty big client of mine. Mr. Brooks out of Dallas, which is like some multi-billion-dollar mortgage fund. CenturyLink, Epic. Honestly, it's all across the map. About 60 a year. There's construction companies, there's sales groups, there's insurance companies. It's just a bunch, and I enjoy every minute of it. And the big thing I tell my jokes, I have my fun, but at the very end I was telling my 2 life lessons that I want to leave them with. And number one, I learned shortly after my injury, but it stuck with me since, is don't dwell on the past. I used to close my eyes, I used to hope and wish and pray that this never happened. And I'd ask, how can I go back in time and make this not my reality? And the truth is, it's never going to happen. So every time I opened my eyes, I was still in my hospital bed, still with no arms, no legs, and there was no answer, no reason given why this happened to me, but there's also no way to go back in time. So instead of dwelling on the past, I just reminisce it. And I think that's very important for people to know, because I had 25 years with arms and legs that were pretty great. And, I've had 8 years since my injury that's been pretty phenomenal. And just really one bad day at work, case of the Mondays. And then the next life lesson I tell people is, you can't always control your situation, but you can always control your attitude.
Yeah.
And, for instance, I wake up every day in my house and I have no arms and legs on. So I jump out of my bed. I hop in my wheelchair, which is next to my bed. I grab my arm, which is sitting on a charger, like a cell phone that charges. I unhook it. I put my arm on. My house has an elevator for my wheelchair to go up and down. I go down the elevator in my, wheelchair. I get my coffee and I get my wife's coffee set up and ready. I get my son his milk ready. And then my daughter comes down. She's an early riser. Usually it's me and her fighting who's going to wake up first. And then we get to hang out for a good, 45 minutes before everybody else wakes up in the house. And then everybody gets all ready. Chloe gets ready for school. I get dressed and my legs on, my arms on, and I take her to school for the day. And just because my situation is no arms and legs or whatever doesn't mean it's going to dictate my attitude. So that's why I've been told by a lot of people I'm just a bit much in the morning, because I'm very happy. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? Let's have a day. Yeah. And I've always been like that. In Afghanistan, they used to get really mad at me because I'd wake up singing. And I'd sing and they couldn't yell at me because I outranked them. And if they did, I'd be like, what? Did you say something? Do you realize? And I think the best leadership method I had, because I wasn't like that guy who was going to yell at you all the time, like you see on TV, the one that's like, in your face and yelling, very intense. I would just like kind of throw up hypotheticals and I'd make them think I was a little bit crazy. And if they didn't do what I wanted, they would have to face a different side of me. But then they'd also be like, is he serious or not? And they didn't know. So a lot of times they were doing stuff and like, I don't know if he's even serious, but I don't want to see what happens. And it worked pretty well for me, actually. But not like in a bad, I know it wasn't abusive. I'm just, if I wanted something done or they weren't doing something right, I'd ask them a simple question and then get them to really think about what their actions are and how they're going to fix it.
So outside of your family as being an amazing support and your wife and parents and stuff, when you had your darkest days, like after the accident happened and everything, what are some of the things that you did or what you turned to? Was there books? Was there any personal development? Was there anything that helped you kind of bring back that mindset, that attitude?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I think it was Chloe and my wife. Okay. I remember one time talking sternly to my mother, which you don't do where I come from. And the only thing I said was, I woke up and I said, hey, when's Chloe coming in? And she said, oh, they already came to visit, but you were sleeping. And I looked at her, I said, don't ever let that happen again. Uh-huh. That's the only reason this is worth getting better. It's about as stern as I've ever gotten my mother. But, the whole point was like, without my daughter, like, I'm not sure I'd be the same person, not to put like the weight of the world on her shoulders. But I mean, she's not hearing this. She's at school right now, so it's good. But, I didn't have your typical like 3 or 4 or 2 weeks of, oh, why me, poor me. I just and then for 6 months I couldn't look in the mirror, but I didn't let nobody in. Like, mental health's important, but I didn't do it the right way. I'll be the first to admit that. Mental health came in and talked to me, not sleeping. My wife said, hey, mental health came to talk to you. I said, well, tell them not to come back. I ain't talking to them. The second time they came back, I pretended like I was sleeping. And then the third time they came back, I was up eating a bowl of cereal with a makeshift arm, like duct tape, splint material, right? This crazy looking thing. And they came in and I saw them and I went, oh, and I said a bad word. Started with an S. And I just plopped back in my bed like I was sleeping. And they walked over and like, what are you doing? And then they asked me some questions. I gave my name, rank, and social. And she said, I don't get it. I gave it to her again. She goes, I don't get what you're doing. I said, that's all you tell the enemy when you get captured. I said, take and leave or just leave because I ain't talking to you. And that's the only time I ever talked to mental health. So like, I know I did it wrong, but that's how I handled it. And then I had to meet with a social worker that they make you meet with. And it felt like the movie Good Will Hunting or whatever, the one where Matt Damon has to talk to that, they break through finally. You know what I'm talking about? Was it Good Will Hunting or a different one? I don't know, whatever. It's, well, anyway, so she would bring me in and try to talk to me. And then she asked a question. I said, well, we're not going to talk about that. And then finally about the third session, I said, look, you're wasting both of our time. Like, I understand what you're trying to do and I appreciate it. People need this. I don't. So she released me from there too. So only like counseling I've ever had is like through my own self. But I started a foundation and I know PTSD is a real thing. So even though I don't suffer from it, I have a program in the Travis Mills Foundation for post-traumatic stress that's really changing the whole view of it and helping service members, get past and through. So it's really exciting stuff.
So tell us more about the Travis Mills Foundation. I know that's a purpose of yours. It's not only a passion, but you've definitely found purpose in that. Tell us more about that and maybe some stories of people that you've helped.
Yeah, I mean, we started out with care packages, my wife and I, and then we decided after going on some trips to the hospital that we should bring some families out because they taught me how to downhill mountain bike, how to monoski, snowboard, how to, go whitewater rafting and kayaking. And we thought, let's do this in Maine. So we brought some families out at this camp that we rented, and it went very well. We did it again the next year for 1 week. It went very well. We bought a facility that was in really bad disrepair. We spent 2.5 years to the tune of like $2 or $3 million renovating this place off of people believing in us and understanding what the mission was going to be without even having like anything to show for it. People just would, yep, I'm going to help. Wow. And then we opened officially in 2017 and we brought in 89 families from all across the nation. No cost to the family. It's all free for them. And we show them how to do things adaptively. This was in 17. In 18, there was 135 families, and in 19 was over 200 families. This year, because of COVID, we did a lot more virtual stuff. We became a partner of Boulder Crest Foundation with their Warrior Path program for post-traumatic stress. And we have a virtual presence now with a couple programs we're doing to help families that maybe want to take an accounting class or a culinary class. We will help them get there if they're willing to do community service and goals that we set for them. So we're all about, I'll help you if you help yourself, but if you don't want to help yourself, then, I don't really know how to help you, because, at the end of the day, I had to kind of motivate myself and pick myself up and be successful. And I needed help along the way, but, it came from within. And I just want people to, feel their inner strength and get after it, know that they can do it, and hand up instead of a handout type deal. So the foundation's running strong. We're one of the top 25 in the nation for veteran service organizations.
Amazing.
I don't take a dime as a president. My wife doesn't take any money on the board. We just do what we have to do, get the job done. And we've had some really big names like Maine Cabin Masters is a big TV show that helped us out with a cottage renovation. We've had Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs come out and build a ropes course, and just a lot of fun, and where we're seeing the progress is, we have one gentleman that lost 150 pounds after coming because he wanted more active with his kids. We had a spouse say she hasn't seen her husband, in this case, act like this since before the deployment, like act like his true self since before he deployed, 3 years prior to him coming to the foundation. And we have, children that cry and say they don't want to leave, and then they say it's better than Disneyland. So we think we're doing the right thing, and we're very happy and fortunate to have the support that we have where, yes, COVID has been a tricky year for us, but we were also able to still help families, have people champion our mission forward and understand our mission. And we're just grateful to have them, on the team still. And 2021 looks like it's going to be a phenomenal year for us.
Oh, good. Oh, that is fantastic, man. Oh man, I'm getting choked up. That is amazing. So over 200 families last year, families that you brought, no charge to them. They come to your facility that you built, that you renovated.
Yeah. And everything's barrier free. So if you're in a paralyzation injury, a spinal cord injury, and you have a walker or prosthetic legs, like you can go anywhere on our property. And I also, I might've stole the best. Well, there's two really, really, I don't want to say it the wrong way. I stole the best physical therapist from Walter Reed, but she wasn't my personal therapist. So my personal therapist, Carrie Quinn, is also the super bestest at Walter Reed. But I did steal a Walter Reed physical therapist to come and run my programs. So her philosophy is, if I can't figure it out to help you do it adaptively, like by the next time you come back, I will have it figured out. So we have people with no arms and no legs, like myself, riding horses, shooting archery, kayaking and canoeing, and everything was set up in the idea that if I was to come into a room, what am I going to need? How's the bathroom got to look, and how's the bathroom setup got to go? And like, how do we make this all possible? And we've taken every opportunity to learn from different injuries and different problems people are facing because of their injuries sustained while in service, and make it so nobody feels left out, everybody's included. And there's really no counseling on site, which it probably seems like, well, yeah, you didn't talk to anybody, so why would there be? But we have it if people want it. But the best counseling that people get is around the bonfire. They sit around the bonfire, they enjoy, they have the ability to talk and have a laugh and talk about experiences. And the kids are usually so worn out, they're already in bed sleeping. So it works out pretty nicely that way too.
This is up in Maine?
Yep. Yeah. It's Belgrade Lakes region, about 17 miles from my house. I live near Augusta, and it's like 17 miles away in the Rome, Mount Vernon town line. Actually, one property that we own for the foundation is on Mount Vernon, and the other side of the road for the other property is Rome. So,
oh, that's awesome.
It works out.
And where do you see the foundation going? More of this, just more families, more impact?
Yeah, more families. Once people get done with the 18-month course for post-traumatic stress, we'll have weeks for those families as well. Because right now we don't offer anything family-wise for PTS. And it's not because we don't want to. It's just once they go through this 18-month course, then we'll have families come out for that. Big picture, maybe 3 or 4 or more facilities throughout the nation to give back. And, we've dabbled with the idea of first responders, and frontline workers, nurses, police officers, firemen, EMS, to name a few, and to see where that would take us as well, because just because they weren't in combat, getting shot doesn't mean they haven't seen some things or, done some things that maybe they need help with. So kind of the sky's the limit, but I am a real big believer in the military's method of crawl, walk, run. And I'll never go too fast. I'll never get carried away with anything. And everything's very methodical and thought out, which sounds silly probably for me since I met my wife online and got married in 17 days in person. But either way, it's worked out for me, so no complaints.
That's so cool. And how long do the family stay at the
6 days. They fly in usually on a Wednesday, and then they take off I guess 5 days. They take off on a Monday.
So you bunk them up, so they stay there. You feed them.
So Elizabeth Arden built this place in 1929, and we basically renovated the whole entire house to have a centralized kitchen, a centralized living room, full basement underneath that wasn't there before. We actually broke the house in 3 sections and picked it up 15 feet in the air to put a full basement underneath it. Wow. Which is a crazy process, but we wanted to keep the historical integrity because she's a cosmetic pioneer in 1929 and one of the most wealthy women in the nation. She had a horse she kept there named Jet Pilot that won the Kentucky Derby in 1947. Yeah. But there's 8 rooms. So 8 families come out, and some rooms are, a couple, maybe a baby, like an infant can stay in it, but mostly it's a couple or a single service member. And then we have 4 rooms that have, so those are 2 rooms like that. We have 4 rooms that are for families up to 4. And then we have 2 rooms upstairs that are for 6 to 8, and you could potentially fit more in there.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I don't anticipate expanding out more bedrooms and things. I like to keep it intimate, and 8 families seems to be about the right number so people can really connect and enjoy. And the cool thing is, at Walter Reed, Kelsey and I had made such phenomenal friends that we're all still friends to this day. We're all great friends to this day. And my buddy Josh Wetzel and his wife Paige and Andrew Smith and them. Anyway, we're all such good friends that the wives are still talking every day on a text chain. Well, that happens here too. We have families that come in, and you see children, see other, kids that have parents that look like their parents. And they're like, oh my gosh. And then the spouses all can talk about everything they've been through, and service members. So they've built these bonds and they've become fast friends, and they continue talking after they come to this retreat. Matter of fact, check this out. My buddy Josh and his wife Paige, she's a double amputee. They just published this book, Beautifully Broken. And it just came out. And I know the guy that wrote the foreword, very good looking guy, has no arms and legs, named Travis Mills. He's a very good, handsome dude.
Beautifully Broken. Okay.
Yeah, Beautifully Broken. Then I got a book out called Tough as They Come. Fortunate to be a New York Times bestseller. I just had to buy 1,700 copies. Too easy. But yeah, and then documentary out right now called Travis the Soldier Story. It's just a lot of cool things I've been able to do because of people taking a shine to my attitude, and just grateful to have the ability to live in a nation that takes care of me, with people that are around me that love me and support me. And everybody thinks my wife has the hardest job because putting up with me ain't easy.
Oh gosh, I really appreciate you hopping on here. We just wanted to see that it's coming up on the time, and gosh, I watched your video. It definitely was all choked up. But as soon as we booked this, I knew of you because I've actually listened to you on another podcast before. Mr. Pat Mancuso had you on board. And so I listened to it and I was like, geez, that's great. And then all of a sudden we had you booked. So I was really pumped for that, and just such an inspiration. Thank you so much for all that you're sharing. What can we do for you? What can our support do for the Travis Mills Foundation? Is travismills.com or?
Well, travismills.org or travismillsfoundation.org. I appreciate that. If you guys want to follow me on social media, It always helps to have more people, and that's at SSG Travis Mills. I actually do a lot of fun videos. I just started working out in the gym. I know you noticed in my home gym I put in, and I got some videos up of that. And I don't know, I just do a lot of fun stuff. So I appreciate everyone's support. I mean, if you want to donate your time or monetarily, we appreciate that. But just let me get my story out there and let people know, hey, no matter what happens in life, never give up, never quit. My book, the author's note, will tell you 2 things. The first thing I'll tell you is I didn't serve any more than anybody else. I have no reason to be held any higher. I didn't fight any harder. So if you were in the service, thank you for your service. And that includes, everybody, even Marines, And of course, everybody knows they're so dumb, but that's just me being jealous of the uniforms. They look so good. And then the next thing they'll tell you, and I truly believe it, is like, I don't think my problem's not what anybody else's. And it might sound silly coming from a guy with no arms, no legs, but if you think about your family and your friends and your circle that you run in, there's probably somebody that's going through cancer, somebody that's been in a car accident, somebody that has something bothering them that they need help with. So if my story can help them, or my upbeat, positive, messages and things that I do or whatever can help push them over the goal line to being more successful and happy, pass it along. But that's about it. And I hope everybody has a great day. I mean, obviously I want you to do that, but that's up to you.
Absolutely. And guys, definitely go to YouTube and just type in Travis Mills and take a look, because there's some.
Oh, really, you're going to find that rapper from California then.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. He's,
I went to YouTube. There was, maybe I put Travis Mills, maybe I added something to it, but I saw the video that you did. That was an amazing recap of like everything that's happened. And yeah. Okay. The Travis Mills rapper.
Oh, well, he's on MTV. MTV and Rob Dyrdek really got me. I used to come up first, and now he comes up first. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him again, though. If anybody knows Rob Dyrdek, let him know. He has to have me on to host one of the ridiculousness shows. But, yeah, Travis Mills Recovery is actually a really nice video my wife did. That will get you choked up and tearing up and things like that. But either way, I just appreciate the support.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you hopping on and sharing your story, man. Don't stop. Don't quit. Never give up. Never quit.
There it is. All right. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, brother. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey there, it's Curtis again. If you have not downloaded the 7 most powerful referral secrets, hop on over to referralsecrets.com. It's free. That's simply referralsecrets.com. Also, we give away prizes every week to our subscribers. So make sure you click the subscribe button. Thank you again for listening to another episode of Referral Secrets.